See what we can do is make a video file perceptually 80% smaller, but really high quality picture.
The go-to-market strategy here is honing in. It makes a lot of sense to tackle that market.
The amount of old footage in there, and I was looking at it thinking, wow, really, really old stuff. But I'm watching at a very nice, smooth feel, and this is the unthought of market of upscaling.
When you can have extremely high quality videos at a fraction of the file size, it dramatically brings down the need for large servers holding extremely large files.
That's working. Hi guys, my name is Gareth. I'm here to talk about video, or Vidaio as Siam likes to call it. It's confusing, I admit. So we are the Video Processing Network, and we've got a brand new tagline, making every pixel count. So today I'm going to talk about my background, how and why the subnet came about, what we do, and the size of the market. So first of all, some stats. So according to Cisco, 85% of global internet traffic is video. So to put this into perspective, that's the equivalent of 700,000 years of HD video a day flowing through the internet. So all of this video will need to be processed, stored, and streamed. So this is the size of the market that we're working in. So a little bit about my background. As you can see, I've been around for a while now. I've got over 20 years experience working with video in post-production and video processing. So advertising, music video, live TV, music streaming. Did a stint at Pokemon working on their anime. Iroko TV was a Nigerian VOD platform which started out with 6 guys, and we took that to over 250. And then Media Bridge, we were mostly doing asset management and video processing. So what have I learned from working with some of the biggest names in the industry? So all these guys on here are people that I've either worked with or delivered content into. So the key takeaways from 20 years working with these guys are the archives have all moved from on-premise to cloud. This happened a few years ago. It became very fashionable to take all of your content, put it on the cloud. It's perceived as a much safer place and easier way to store your content. But all of these companies kind of did it without any real plan. So they uploaded all their content on there, stuck it up on AWS, and just left it to sit there. Another thing in the industry that there's no standardization in file specification. So whatever platform you're working with or TV station, there's a different file spec for each one of those. And that also translates to whatever device you're watching on. Your phone will have a different file specification to a laptop. You've got 4K, you've got SD. All of these specifications all come from one piece of content. So you'll often find one movie will have 25, 35 files sitting on the cloud. So for this reason, the archives were getting bigger and bigger and obviously more expensive. There's a lot of legacy content that's sitting on these archives, say SD content, that the quality isn't really good enough to monetize. So you've got anything made before 2000, 2005 will be created in SD, will be sitting somewhere on a cloud, not being used because us as consumers, we expect good quality pictures, and SD doesn't really cut it anymore. So because of all of this, the costs are spiraling out of control. The archive costs are just getting bigger and bigger. They never go down, they only go up. And this is totally controlled from big tech. So essentially AWS, Amazon have total control of this market. It's not really in their interest to innovate here. They, very happy with the status quo, people paying them loads of money to store their data on their servers. So essentially video processing is broken. AI has been used everywhere in video except video processing. It's obviously been a lot of generative AI. There's a lot of automation being used, but no one was really looking at this area. So I saw an opportunity here, and with a little help from Mog, we managed to launch the subnet in April. So what do? We do video upscaling. So as you can see on the left, we have a very blurry picture of Mr. Beast, and on the right, we have a very clear picture of Mr. Beast. So this is our video upscaling tool. Oh, it's gone off. So essentially, video upscaling used to be just blowing up a pixel. You get an SD video, and you make it HD by blowing up the pixels. But this will, of course, create a... Can I get that to play again? There you go. This will, of course, create a blocky, pixelated picture. So what we do is we predict the data. We predict what's going to be in the picture, so we can get a clean line, upscaled video. So use cases for this would be remastering old and poor quality content, reviving old archive footage, improving the quality of home movies, and like I spoke about, content originally made for SD broadcast. So there's thousands and thousands of hours of SD content out there that's waiting to be monetized. So the other thing we do is video compression, essentially the opposite. We take a very high resolution file and we compress it down to a much smaller file. So there's an example here which you can actually see me doing live on the revenue search with Siam and Mark, where we take this clip of a squirrel and we compress it down to 96% of its original size without any perceptual quality loss. So perceptual quality loss would be, as a human, the human eye couldn't tell the difference between the two files. So as you can see, it's a very powerful tool. And the key advantages, the most obvious one would be lower storage costs, lower storage, CDN, and bandwidth costs. So obviously this is, I chose a file that would be very easily compressed, but if we were to be conservative, say 80% or even 50%, if you can save 50% on your storage and bandwidth and processing costs, then it's going to be a big win for any company. Also, the other advantages will be faster startup times, less buffering on bad networks, and you get a better quality picture at a lower bit rate. So, for instance, if you're ever watching something on your mobile phone and you're in a bad reception area and the picture is all blocky and pixelated, what we are able to do is make that picture much better quality for the viewer. And then the other thing is we can save the world by making lower carbon footprints. So smaller file size, less processing power, less electricity used. So we have a couple of different ways. We've got a consumer-facing product here, which we call Video Studio. This is live on a website in beta at the moment. You can upload a video, you can choose to upscale it or compress it. There's various different parameters you can use, and then you can store it on there for up to 30 days and download it as you want. So the typical users of that would be video editors, content creators, post-production houses, and people who need their home movies upscaling. So let's have a look at the enterprise market. So the market here is enormous. If you look at these numbers on the screen, they're pretty crazy numbers. Obviously, we're not going to go after the whole 200 billion in the cloud storage and CDN provider market, but if we can take a tiny percentage of that, then we're onto a really good thing. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Netflix, which is the biggest VOD platform in the world, spends $1 billion a year with AWS. So that, if we can cut those costs by 50%, then look at the obvious cost saving for the platform and look at, obviously, the potential for us. But that's not the only market. We've got surveillance and security. So particularly here in the UK, you've got CCTV cameras everywhere. So all of this video needs to be processed and stored. And it has to be kept because it's there for legal reasons. Same with medical and industrial imaging, educational video. My son's school does half of his learning on an educational VOD platform. You've got autonomous vehicles that have to record from multiple different angles every single second of their journey. All of that stuff needs to be kept for legal reasons. So I'm going to do a little case study in the African VOD market, somewhere where I've got a bit of experience, but also somewhere where our tech is really relevant. So the market spend in 2025 is approximately 3 to 6 billion. So it's a big market with over 500 separate platforms working in this market. 60% of the population are under 25, which means they're very young and content hungry. These are the guys that are, eating up the content here in the UK and definitely in Africa as well. Crucially, this is a mobile first market. No one really has 4K TVs. No one really has laptops. Everyone's watching on cheap Android phones. They've got patchy 3G, 4G reception. Data is super expensive. But also the other thing we need to think about, Africa is a continent. It's not a country. There's 54 separate countries with strong cultural identities. So famously, Netflix and Amazon tried to get into these markets by pouring money into it, trying to use the same one-size-fits-all strategy that they were using in Europe and the US. And they couldn't crack the market because, one, they weren't looking at the connectivity problems, and two, they weren't making local content. So how we can help, it's the same thing again. We can cut CDN and storage costs. That's a no-brainer. We can cut the bandwidth and streaming costs for the VOD platforms. But also we can unlock audiences who couldn't watch before. So if we can make this file 80% smaller, and that means it's not going to buffer on the Android phone with poor reception, then we're unlocking this whole potential of new clients. We can cut data costs for the user. Data costs in Africa are very, very expensive for the user. So if they're downloading file or they're streaming and the file's much smaller, then they're going to save money. And the other thing is that power is a big problem in the continent. And if you've got a big file and it's taking a lot of your battery life, then it's not going to be so good for the end user. So marketing and outreach. So we've got local sales agents in all of these places that you can see on here. So our plan is to have local agents who already have existing networks within each region, boots on the ground, so they can go out knocking on doors and showcase our technology, to potential clients. Next year, I'm going to be hitting the exhibitions and conferences very hard, also showcasing our technology, our video compression, our upscaling to people within the industry. Strategic partnerships. So you heard about Hippias from Mog earlier. This is like an obvious partnership for us. If we can save people money on video compression on their storage, and then we can compound that by using Hippias for their storage, then the savings for these platforms is going to be amazing. So so we're partnering with them, and we're kind of offering a 360 service to platforms. Pip Studios is a localization and dubbing house. We'll work with all of the big Hollywood studios. So we're helping them. They move a lot of content around internationally. So we're helping them make files smaller, keeping the quality so they can move files around a lot quicker and more efficiently. And Canal Plus, we're working with one of their subsidiaries, Tema, who have got an archive. They've got 2 petabytes of content, which we are trialing on a 30-day trial, how to obviously compress their content, clean it all up, and see how much saving we can do. So the plan would be we do the 30-day trial with them, show them the cost savings, and then hopefully we can convert that into a long-term contract. So the future. So the next thing we're looking at for the subnet is streaming. We already have the technology to do that. So we can, boost a bad quality stream, or we can compress a good quality stream. The only thing that's holding us back at the moment is making that infrastructure work within a subnet. So currently, you send us a file, we take it, we compress it, we send it back to you. That kind of workflow doesn't work with streaming. So it needs to be, a constant running stream. So we're working out how to do that within the subnet. But that's a big focus for us, a truly decentralized streaming network, which we run on the Bittensor network, probably with Hippias as our backbone. Another thing we're looking at is Hollywood-grade lip sync. So here's an example of a Comfy UI workflow. This is, again, working with Pip Studios here. The current people who are doing this in the marketplace are charging $80,000 for one movie, one language. So most Hollywood movies are dubbed into 20 languages. So obviously you can see this is a very big market for us. So we think we can do that considerably cheaper than 80,000 US. And yes, and so, it's a little bit loud, but so the other thing we're doing goes hand in hand with upscaling, which is colorization. So this used to be an incredibly manual process where you'd go frame by frame, someone would be coloring it in, and I don't know if anyone saw the Peter Jackson movie where he recolored all of the World War I footage. Like, he had a team of like 100 people working for months on that, and this took us about 5 minutes. So this is this is another thing that we're going to be adding in to the subnet. And that is that.
Questions over there? Hello.
Hi.
Love it so far. Could you explain more about the technical problem of moving this onto a subnet or doing it all on a subnet, please?
Do you mean the streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is with a validation process, currently how it works is we chunk up the file, we send it to the miner. The miner does the video compression for us, send it back, the validator validates it, gives it a score. If the score is acceptable to us, then it passes. So that essentially is a process that takes time. So what we need to be able to do is have a live running validation process where the stream runs through the subnet, the validator validates in real time. So that, we've got a few ideas how to work that, but it's a complicated thing that we're trying to work into the structure of the subnet. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Hi there. Is video profitable yet?
Yeah.
If not, when do you see yourself breaking even, and how fast do you see video scaling, increasing, becoming more profitable in the future?
So at the moment, no, we're not charging anything at the moment. The consumer product will go live before Christmas. The team promised me that's going to happen. And this is our first trial with Canal Plus. So hopefully that's going to convert into a paid contract. So that's be when we start to make money. But the technology now is there. We're super happy with it. It works really well. You've seen the compression. I can do anyone a live demo on my laptop later if you want to see it in action. So yeah, it's inevitable. So the new year, that's why I'm going to be out there hitting the conferences, talking to people in the industry. The sales team are ready to go. So next year, I think very soon we're going to be seeing revenue.
Fantastic. And just to finish, have you got a marketing plan yet of how to roll it out, or you?
So the plan is definitely industry first. No one's. Obviously the consumer product, great if people are going to use it, but I don't see that's really going to be a huge money maker for us. We're looking at tens of thousands of minutes and hours of content, and we're just going to have to keep that rolling. And that's, we need to. This is why I think Africa is such a great proving ground. So it's a really difficult place to work. If we can prove that there, then we can take it and say, look, this is the case study, this is what we've done, and we can do it here. So it's going to be so easy to convert that into someone who's working in this market. So.
Steve, thank you.
Cool.
Obviously, the potential future of this is phenomenal, but the scalability seems to be a potential real issue, especially as if you're also relying on other subnets to produce things which they may not yet be at that level that they can do that. So the time frames seem to be more woolly than you're suggesting, surely.
So I don't know if you saw the revenue search that we did with Mark and Siam. So this is back to a bit of the conversation that Mog was talking about, the alphanomics. So for that very reason, the scalability reason, and also a reason of security, we've actually got something we called our enterprise track, which is where we take our top miners and we take them out of the subnet environment and we create a private network for say we're working with Netflix, and Netflix say, right, I'm not happy with you putting my brand new content out onto the subnet, where we send it out to miners who we don't necessarily know who they are. So then with this enterprise track, we dox the miners, if they need to be ISO approved, we can do that. We can do whatever the partner needs us to do, and then we'll be working outside that subnet in a private sandbox area. So that's infinitely scalable.
I've got a question quickly. I'm here. So you showed a workflow on the Confi UI. So where does your subnet comes in? Do you create like a actual model for colorization, or you've got like a LoRa created, or where does it?
Yeah. So for the lip sync model. Yeah. So what we would do is the same thing we've done for compression and for upscaling. We create the base model. Okay. And then, so that we expect the miners to improve on that. So we're saying this is the baseline. You can use this model, and do the work. But if you want to earn the incentives, then you're going to have to make it better and better and better. So the difficult thing with the lip sync model is the validation mechanism. So with upscaling and with compression, it's actually that there's existing models out there. Netflix have created an amazing compression model that's open source and that we use. But for lip sync, it's a human perception thing. So we need to work out a way of validating that. So that's going to be the biggest challenge. The actual model's already there, and they're already out there and they're working. So we integrate that into the subnet. But yeah, so the validation is going to be the most difficult.
So it's already available to get the model, download your machine, and
it's not on the subnet yet. This is something that we're going to be bringing in the next few months. But
okay, got it.
But yeah, our engineers are working on this.
Lovely, thank you.
So with the lip sync, is there generative AI to move the lips to the foreign word that?
Yeah, exactly. It's generative, and it has to match. So but we think we can do it a lot cheaper than 80 grand a movie. Yeah. Cool. We hope.
There's a question over there. Go on, David.
Hiya.
Hi. Roger.
Superb market, but just in terms of the moat around the business and also the barriers to entry, how do you see the competition evolving in the market? Certainly when you've got players potentially like ChatGPT that could potentially add something in to do this potentially quite quickly, or other players like Runway or Canva that could add something to compete with you and have already got the audience to take that market.
So which model are we talking about here?
Just the upscaling.
So the upscaling is not the biggest market that we're looking at. Video compression is way, way, way bigger than that. So there are other companies, Topaz Labs being one, that does the upscaling. We do it a lot cheaper, and we do it better. We've already benchmarked against them. So, that's our USP. We're cheaper and better. But the real revenue for the subnet is going to be video compression. That's where we're going to get the tens and thousands of minutes. That's where we're going to get the recurring contract. And also that's where no one really is working in our market. There's no big players doing it. So I think if we can prove it, like we say, in Africa and in emerging markets, and then we can take that to the bigger markets and show the cost savings to the platforms, then I'm hoping they'll come running.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so we know that Netflix have got the best compression.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, are you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just, sorry. So we know Netflix have got the best compression. Are you trying to not go to war with them, or are you trying to sneak into them, or are you trying to just get the rest of the market?
We're trying to get the rest. We don't they're not going to come. Netflix also have got a huge engineering team, right? But they are. They're not the market that we're going after. Maybe if we can prove it and we do it better than anyone else, then they'll come to us. But we don't really need them because the market is so big and it's getting bigger and bigger every day. So we're going to prove it with the little guys who will be willing to work with us. And then that's when we hope, these big, massive enterprise clients will start looking up and hopefully use our technology.
Thanks.
Cool.
Hey.
Why not go after the porn industry? Because So the internet
listen, if it's legal, we'll do it. All right? I have no problem with that at all.
Show some examples.
Do you need upscaling or do you need compression? So we have been talking to someone who provides CDN networks for pornography, and they're very interested in our technology. So, yeah. We may well go after the porn industry, you never know. Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It's, there's options for sure.
What's the biggest blocker for these big companies to come to you now? Because you can save them huge amounts of money.
Yeah, I think, in all honesty, it will be reputation. Like we need to prove it in the market, and that's why I need to prove it with smaller companies, and we need some time frame under our belts for them to see that our security is watertight. Security is going to be the biggest problem for those guys. So, someone like Netflix, you think about the amount of money involved, they're not going to come to us until we're very well established. And, we've got a few, probably years of doing this under our belt. So.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, so with the video compression side of it,
yeah.
It's 50 cents per minute. Is that right, you're running it?
Yeah, so that's just a cost for compression or for upscaling. On the front end, yeah.
And how does that compare to, like, what do people pay normally now?
It's cheaper. Price? It's cheaper. So there's so many different ways of doing it, because the thing is that we're doing the encoding for you, but you can buy, like Topaz Labs have like a desktop app, so you can download it and use their technology and do it on your own GPU. So if you're doing it online on a GPU, we're probably 50% cheaper than any of our competitors. But, there's a few different ways of doing it. So we're just trying to keep it simple at first, so people can come and, play around with it. Pay-as-you-go model, no monthly fee, just so we can, start to get a bit of money coming in.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions? Okay, whilst you're waiting. How long until you lift the maximum length of a video?
So at the moment we've capped it to 5 minutes while we're still in beta, but when we go live with the product, then we should be able to open that up. So we need to be able to work with long form content. So you're looking at like a film is 90 minutes, 2 hours. We can already do that offline. So now we just got to write that into the architecture of the subnet.
Okay. Yeah. So we use Vimeo, and they're really annoying now. So how long until we can you guys can do video hosting, marrying in with Hippias as well, and compress it and all that sort of stuff, and then deliver it like Vimeo?
So that's something that we're talking about at the moment. So first of all, video hosting, streaming, right? So this is what This is what the dream is, that we have a truly decentralized platform running on Bittensor, where you have all of the functionality that Vivo would have. And it's, that Vivo or YouTube, all of these people are owned by big tech. So if you want to be out of that world, then, people are going to use our platform for sure.
Legend.
Yeah.
Right. Massive round of applause for Gareth.
Thanks for your time.
Good to be talking to you. Good evening.
Now, this oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, can you tell us what happened?
Yes, we're talking about an offshore oil rig, which is, of course, a large device for pumping oil out of an oil field under the sea floor.
Sure. And what happens if something goes wrong?
Well, we're trying to figure that out at the moment.
No, I mean before you start. What are the regulations
you're not
for
going to
dealing
have
with that problem?
You're not going to have a problem before you start.
Yeah, but what are the regulations?
The what?
Regulations.
Can you Google something for me quickly? Relegations?
No, regulations.
Regulations? Well, Google them both.
This is before you start.
No, you're not going to have an accident before you start. I mean, it's starting that causes the problem. There is no problem before you start. It's beautiful before you start.
So you're saying is that the accidents only happen when you get going?
That's the rule.
So what happened?
Well, in this case, there was a large explosion. The rig caught fire. 20 million gallons of crude oil spilled into the sea, and then the rig sank. I mean, everything happened.
So what did you do?
Well, first things first, obviously. The first thing to do in an event like that is to underestimate the problem.
What? Underestimate the problem?
Yes,
why would you do that?
You don't want people to panic. I mean, you've got to calm people down. A lot of people get very worried.
Why do they get worried?
Well, because the sea is filling with oil. A lot of people are very sentimental about the sea.
But understating the problem, surely not a solution.
Well, no, not to that problem, but first things first.
So what was solution number 2?
Solution number 2 was to acknowledge the magnitude of the problem, but to point out that it's certainly not BP's fault. This is not our fault.
Whose fault is it?
I don't know, someone else, a bloke who built the wing nuts or something.
The solution doesn't sound very good.
That wasn't one of our better ones, but the next one was brilliant. We dropped a kind of shopping centre over the hole.
An underwater shopping centre?
Underwater shopping centre. We fitted it over the hole.
And did that work?
No, but it was a brilliant idea.
In what sense was it brilliant?
Well, we know that doesn't work. We won't be trying that again.
What was the 4th solution?
4th solution is to offer to help with the clean-up. We can help there.
Hang on a second. How do you mean help? Shouldn't you be doing the clean-up? I mean, well, you're the one getting the oil out of the ocean.
We're not getting the oil out of the ocean. That's useless, that oil. How do you get oil out of the sea? We've been trying for a week. You can't be done. It's useless.
Okay, so what about the 5th solution?
5th solution was to pump mud down into the hole.
What with?
Well spotted. You see, that's the problem there. Ultimately, of course, relief wells is the thing we're going to have to build. And relief wells, drill relief wells.
And when can you do that?
August.
Anything in the meantime?
Well, we've gone with a democratic solution in the meantime, which is nice.
What's a democratic solution?
Well, blame the president.
For causing the largest oil spill in US history.
Bad mistake. People hate it.
But
People absolutely hate it.
But he didn't do it.
Well, he didn't prevent it, did he? I mean, have a look out there.
Thanks for your time.
He didn't prevent it, pardon?
Thanks for your time.
Regulations. No, it won't be measured in barrels. I think it's a different concept altogether. I've never heard of it either, but keep bloody looking.